All right, here we go with the new rhythm. So some of the stuff we went over was how this rhythm is the exact same thing as this. So this is the easier way of reading it. And I would say this is the more common way of seeing the rhythm written out. Definitely more difficult, but mathematically it's the same. So, like you correctly said last night, this eighth note tied to an eighth note is basically just a quarter note. But it's easier to see where the upbeat of 1 is and how it is tied to the downbeat of 2. So comparing the first bar to the fourth bar. So we got the eighth note to start. There's an eighth note. Eighth note tied to an eighth note, which is a quarter note. Eighth note, quarter note, 2 eighth notes, 2 eighth notes. And then that's carried over into the new bar. Eighth note, quarter note, eighth note, eighth note tied to an eighth note, which is a quarter note, eighth note, and then quarter, eighth note tied to an eighth note, which is a quarter note, eighth note, quarter. So the rhythm is 1 and 3, 4 and 2, 3 and 1, 2 and 4. 1 and 3, 4 and 2, 3. Whoops, I highlighted the wrong thing. Second line, 1 and 3, 4 and 2, 3 and 1, 2 and 4. So another thing that was talked about is how this is basically a polymeter. So clearly we have a 4/4 time signature occurring because it says so. And each bar is filled up with the length of 4 quarter notes. Quarter note gets the length of 1 beat. Or you could say 1 beat equals the length of a quarter note. So anyway, the polymeter, or the other time signature that's currently happening, is a 3/4 time signature. So every 3 beats we have the same rhythm, or the same strumming pattern occurring. So highlighted is that 3/4 time signature strum pattern. So basically you could count this as 1 and 3. 1 and 3, 1 and 3, so on. So the 3/4 pattern happens 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then it starts over again. So before 4 time signature lines back up with the 3/4 time signature when we go into the second line. Here it happens again 1, 2, 3, 4 times. The strumming pattern continues to alternate between going down, up, down, up, down, so on. So you can count this whole thing as doing like the 1 and 3, 4 and 2, 3 and 1, 2 and 4, which is a very good thing to do. You can also just count it as down, up, down, up, down. That ends up giving you the same results, really. So I don't think we talked about this too much, but moving forward, especially with some of the other rhythms coming up, it's very important and useful to learn how to count out loud as you're playing. Basically, say it as you play it. So I'm going to demonstrate this saying the regular count for the first half and then the down, up, down for the second half. So either do the traditional counting or do the down, up, down. I want you to say that stuff out loud as you're going from 60 to at least 120. The reason why at least 120, when we move over to 16th notes, where we have 4 things per click, like 4 notes a beat basically, you're going to be counting that fast out loud anyway. So might as well get the practice in now. So past 120, not a big deal if you're not saying anything. It can be a bit of a pain in the butt to be saying a lot of stuff as you're playing. However, getting used to it at the slow speeds can be very beneficial. In fact, it is beneficial, not just can be, it is. And this ties into the whole, if you can say it, you can play it. Or basically, if you can't say it, you can't play it. I should say, if you can say it, you got a much better chance of playing it. So anyway, I'm going to demonstrate this at 4 different speeds, and then I'll do some repeats so you can hear how that should go. So remember, like it says at the top of the file, you're going to spend 10 minutes getting this as fast as you can, and then you start adding in your repetitions. So at the bottom of my email signature, you will see a link to a video detailing how this whole process goes. So if you haven't watched that yet, please do so. Very helpful. Goes into a lot of what we're going to be doing. So just remember, you're going to work this up in 5 beat per minute increments. Every time you get it correct, move it up 5. If you feel it was good enough to be on your album, move it up. All right, metronome coming on at 60 beats per minute. I will count off 4 so you can follow along to make sure everything sounds and looks correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 3, 4, and 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 4, 1, and 3, 4, and 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 4, done. I just realized part way through that second half, I did not switch to saying down, up, down. So 60 beats per minute, one more time, saying the strum direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, up, 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 down, down. All right, 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4 and 2, 3 and 1 and 4. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So for that last chord, the resolve, I like to just say done and then stop. No need to let that ring out all 4 beats. It's just easiest to just fill it in with whatever rhythm fills out the whole bar. So if it was a 3/4 time signature, you would see a dotted half note, but because it's a 4/4, we got a whole note. So yeah, no need to let that thing ring out the entire 4 beats. We want to hit that and move on to that next speed as soon as possible. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the repetitions. I'll go down to 200 for the repeats. Now, that doesn't mean you do the repeats at 200. I'm just giving demonstrations so you have some comparison. So compare what you're doing to how I'm doing. Make sure it sounds good. All right, anyway, here we go. So I'm going to go for all 4 repetitions right away. But remember, I want you to build it up. So playing the whole thing twice, then 3 times, and then 4 times. Okay? Here we go. 200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you get this to 240 beats per minute before next week, send in a video showing that. You don't have to do the repeats. But that also brings me to another point. So next week we got a couple options. So the first option is demonstrate everything at the beginning of the lesson, just like you did last night. Keep track of how fast you get. This is going to be important. So depending on how fast you got will determine how fast I ask you to play stuff. The other option is record things before the lesson. So I just mentioned if you get this to 240 beats per minute before next week, send that video over right away. So let's just make sure it sounds correct, and then we can move on from there. Now, let's say you don't get there, and you got the whole week going through, or has gone by. Your very last practice session, just record the whole thing minus the repeats. Send that over. So this way I can see how it sounds, or hear how it sounds at the beginning and at the end, and check some stuff in the middle to make sure it's all going okay. So basically either be ready to demonstrate things at the beginning of the lesson or send in video demonstrating stuff, so this way I can see and hear how everything's going, and how well stuff is going, that determines what I give you next. So for number 2, same idea, get this to 240, send over a video early. Heads up though, so this doesn't happen with everybody. I know it happens with me. If I don't finger tap for a long time, or like I don't play bass for a long time, the tips of my fingers they won't just callus up right away. They start to form a blister, and it sucks. So if you start getting a blister from doing this, just as soon as that thing heals, get right back into the tapping, so this way it will form a callus and it doesn't just continue to blister again and again. So just be aware that it is a possibility, unfortunately, with this sort of thing. So hold your pick just like you would normally do. You're going to use this part of your hand to gently rest on top of the strings you're not playing. You're going to be using your middle finger, not your wrist, not your arm, okay? We got to keep contact with the strings the entire time. So I'll try, let's play from this angle so you can see how the tapping goes a little bit better. And remember, you are going to have your middle finger not going the same direction the string is, but more like a 45-degree angle. We don't want to go all the way like this either, because then we're not muting anything. So about a 45-degree angle. That's the idea you want to have. That's about the idea you want to have for the direction your finger is going to be pulling off. Okay, so you're going to be pulling your finger in towards your hand, much the same way you would do fingerstyle playing. So let's see, anything else? You can also use like other fingers over here on your left hand to help mute the strings. So the left hand, you're just going to keep the 5th fret held down, and it's the tapping hand that's going to keep changing notes. So here we go at 60 beats per minute. We want to really focus on very even 2 notes per click. 1, 2, 3, 4. Start again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Start a 3rd time. This is not going well. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240. 1, 2, wait a minute, there we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Repetition. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so no big deal if you don't reach 240 for numbers 1 and 2. That's just if you get there, send stuff over early. Just get where you can, focus on accuracy. Accuracy is always the most important thing. Chase the accuracy, not the speed. Speed is a byproduct of being, or of playing accurately at faster and faster tempos. Alright, so this guy, it's got like a descending melody happening each string. Well, it's not much of a melody, it's really just kind of going down the notes of a scale. I'm going to play along to a backing track to demonstrate this. So you hit the note you want to hear, or that you want to bend to, and then you bend to it. Just pay attention to whether it's a full step, also known as a whole step. So full, whole, same thing. Pay attention to its if it's a full step or a half step. So we got 4 bends that will happen each string. And every string will have just 1 half step that happens. Everything else will be a full step. And repeat any bar as many times as you need to until you get a good bend. Not a big deal about the rhythm right now. So this is basically just like 2 half notes every single time. This really tiny note right here, that's a grace note. And it's basically, you just hit that note and start bending right away. So the most important thing is hit the note you want to bend to and then bend up to it. Use 3 fingers for all the bends. Just get in that habit. And doing that, not only does it give you some good control over the bends you do, but sometimes it's necessary to have that many fingers to help you bend the string. Especially on the D string and the high E, definitely need a lot of help getting those strings into the right pitch. So, I'm gonna send you a link to this backing track I use. Very simple backing track. You can pick anything else that you'd like. I would look up A minor backing tracks. Now this one it does say blues backing track in the title. It does work fine for this. But some blues tracks won't. Basically, you can use some odd chords with a blues progression that wouldn't work in like a diatonic scale type thing, like a natural A minor sort of thing. So anyway, just if you play over a different backing track and it says it's a blues backing track and it sounds like the notes aren't fitting well, it's probably the backing track and not you. So best to avoid blues backing tracks. This one I just know it works out really, really well. Anyway, so let's get that playing here. Alright, so again, don't worry about the rhythm. Just focus on making the sound correct. That was too high. A bit too loud. Take it around the top. low E string is challenging in a way because it's really easy to bend that string, the low E string. So you gotta be careful with that. Make sure you don't bend too high like I did at the start. The D string and the high E, I feel those two strings take the most force to get it to the pitch that you want. So just be careful of that. You might have to put in a bit more effort than you think. And a big thing with the bends, muscle memory isn't as huge of a factor as, say, doing something like scales or getting certain chord shapes and whatnot. And that's because every string on every fret produces, or you need to produce a different amount of force to get to that note that you're trying to bend to. So it's really about the ear. You got to listen to, trust your ear if it sounds good. And that's why I recommend practicing to a backing track, because when you got the backing track going, when you're bending up to a note that's in key, it sounds better to the ear. It's really helpful to make sure that you know you're bending to the right note. So yeah, hit the note that you want to bend to, recreate that note by doing a bend, and if you feel like you keep missing the note you're trying to bend to, go slower, bend slower, and just keep going until it hits that right pitch. If you bend too fast, you might go past the note that you want. But yeah, I think that about covers it. Bit of a lengthy first video recap, but as we get going with stuff, things will be a little, well, the recaps will most likely be shorter for the most part. But anyway, things are new, so I got to do a bit more talking. Any questions, please let me know. So yeah, as far as the bend stuff, just work on it once a day. That'd be great. Do it a little bit more if you got the time. That's totally fine. And yeah, if you don't like the backing track that I share, that's fine. Pick one that you do like and go with that. All right, any questions come up, let me know. I'll see you again next week.